Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Storytime. My name is Sherry. I am the creator and co administrator of Appalachian Spirits, Haunting, and Folklore on Facebook. I created this channel to have a place to tell my paranormal stories. Hopefully, I will be able to have some guests that will come on and share their stories. And tonight, what I want to talk about is one of West Virginia's most famous ghosts, and that is the Greenbrier Ghost, Zona Hester Shue. Zona Hester Shue was a young girl who lived in Greenbrier County in West Virginia. Um, she met a new man that moved into town. He was very good looking, a very smooth talker. His name was Erasmus Stribling Trout Shue. Everybody called him Trout, and she immediately fell head over heels in love and married him, despite the fact that her mother didn't like him one bit, and she made it that very clear. And Zona knew that Mary Jane Hester, her mother, did not want her to marry him, but she was in love, so she married him anyway. He set her up in a house in town. He worked as a blacksmith in the local blacksmith shop. He kept her kind of isolated from her family. They lived up on the mountain, and he just kind of kept Zona at home and kept her separated from her family, pretty much. Well, one day, there was a little boy who worked there at the blacksmith shop also. He did little odd jobs. And he told the little boy that he was worried about Zona and asked him to go home and check on her. So the little boy went to Trout's home, and he found Zona at the foot of the cellar stairs, dead. She was laying perfectly laid out, um, flat on her back with her hands folded on her chest, but she was dead. So the little boy sounded the alarm, ran and got Trout, who ran home and just really played up the grief stricken husband. Um, in those days, it was the normal custom for the neighborhood ladies to come in and prepare somebody for burial. He would not let any of them do it. He insisted on doing it himself. He wouldn't even let the doctor get a good look at her. He just laid over her and cried and screamed and carried on. And so the doctor put on her death certificate that her cause of death was an everlasting faint. So he dressed her, like I said, Trout dressed her in her favorite, what he said was her favorite dress. It was a high neck dress. And he just hovered over her casket the whole time and didn't really let anybody near her. Her mother, Mary Jane, did get a chance to get kind of close to her, and she felt that her head looked uncomfortable and looked uneven. So she took a sheet and folded it and put it around her neck, like to give it some support. Um, After the funeral, before they closed the casket, she took that sheet out. It did not have a spot of blood on it. It was still as clean as it was when she put it in there. But that evening, when she took it home and put it in a pail of water to wash it, the water turned pink, as if from blood. Mary Jane took that as a sign from Zona that Zona had been murdered. So Mary Jane hit her knees and she prayed for 7 nights straight for a sign that would show her exactly what happened to Zona. And on the 7th night, she said she was visited by Zona, who appeared in front of her and showed her the bruises on her neck from Trout's hands and turned her head all the way around to show her that her neck was broken. She appeared 3 nights in a row to her mother. Finally, Mary Jane made her way into town, and she started hounding the local prosecutor, telling him what had happened, that Zona had appeared to her, and that Trout had indeed murdered her. And she must have really hounded this guy to death, because he finally agreed to have the body exhumed and an autopsy performed. So they exhumed her, and they took her body to the local one-room schoolhouse, where they did an autopsy that lasted for 3 days, and, Trout had to be present for the whole thing. I really don't understand why it took 3 days because as soon as they took her dress off of her, they could see the handprints around her throat, and her neck was indeed broken. Um, Trout denied it up until the bitter end, um, but he was found guilty, and he finally admitted that he had indeed killed her because she did not fix any meat for dinner the night before. He was sent to the West Virginia penitentiary in Moundsville, where he bragged to all of his cellmates or all the people up there that his grand plan was to have 7 wives, and that he had just got rid of number 3. And when he got out of prison, he was still going to go ahead and have his 4 more. But he died of the flu, in the flu epidemic, and actually didn't get to have his 7 wives. But apparently he had apparently done something to his first wife because she just disappeared and was never seen again. His second wife got away from him because he was rough with her, and she divorced him. And then poor Zona was his third wife. But it is indeed, we have here in West Virginia, our 8th graders take a test every year called the West Virginia Golden Horseshoe Test. And there it is an actual question on the Golden Horseshoe Test about who was convicted based on the testimony of a ghost and sent to the West Virginia Penitentiary, and that was Erasmus Stribling Trout Shoe. It's kind of a sad way for Zona to come to an end. You know, she loved him so much, and then he just killed her so he could get ready and move on to wife number 4. But she got even with him in the end, came back from the grave to tell her mom what had really happened, and I guess justice was served. I hope that you enjoyed this story. I'm going to try to tell a different one every day. Please hit subscribe and let us know that you like it. And check out my page on Facebook. Also, I just would like to throw in, if you like podcasts, I do know of an awesome podcast. It's called Project Dark Corona Podcast. There is a link to their page on my channel. So look for that and click that, and you can get more information about how you can listen to that podcast. It's about aliens, paranormal, Bigfoot, just anything weird, anything goes. Again, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.